Welcome back to Mythic Sky Storytime. I'm Dr. Laura Tad, spiritually oriented astrologer and wellness consultant. In this episode, I'm going to lead you through a guided meditation on the upcoming new moon that we'll be having in the month of June 2026. So in general, before we go into the meditation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the moon in astrology and what this particular new moon represents, and then lead you through a guided meditation. So the new moon in astrology is a time of beginnings, but the moon itself takes just shy of 28 days to move through the zodiac. Technically, 27 days, 7 hours, 43 minutes, and 11 and a half seconds. So we round that up to that 28-day cycle of the lunar cycle, new moon to new moon. And within astrology, there's 12 signs of the zodiac. And so that time period just shy of 28 days, means that the moon resides in a given sign for roughly 2.5 days. And moving at about 12 to 14 degrees per day. Right? That's how the mathematics works. And going back to antiquity, every day of the week is related to, linguistically, a planet or luminary. So in the case of the moon, we get Monday, moon day. It's more directly seen a little bit with Spanish, where you have lunes, luna being the moon in Espanol, and lunes being Monday. So there is a correlation with that day of the week and the luminary, the moon. Now, astrologically, in our own chart, or just more broadly, the moon represents our feelings and moods, our temperament, our emotions. It governs our emotional experience of the world. It also relates to how we embody the mother archetype. That nurturing mama energy is reflected in the moon, our moon personally, astrologically, as well as wherever the moon is on a given day, is how that mother archetype globally is being expressed. Personally, it represents our ability to nurture and be nurtured when you look at your own moon, wherever that is falling in your own astrological chart. Similarly, it is your inner reality. It's your emotional experience, so it's your inner world. The moon doesn't have its own light. It only reflects the light of the sun, so it is our inner experience. It also then represents the part of us that is open, receptive, and cyclical, just like these cycles of the moon, like this just shy of 28-day cycle. We have our own cycles, whether you are male or female, whether you are still menstruating or not, you have cycles emotionally throughout the month that is reflective of the moon's cycle through the zodiac. So understanding the new moon, when you're working with the new moon, the energy is very powerful. New moons mark the beginning of the lunar cycle. That 28-day cycle, or just shy of 28-day cycle I've been talking about, starts with the new moon. That's the beginning of the cycle. And it is a time of darkness, because the moon is not illuminated, of stillness, of turning inward to some extent and reflecting inward, because she is not reflecting the light of the sun. And a period of looking at what we want to call into our lives. New moons are always times of setting intention. Astrologically, the new moon is always in the same sign as the sun. So we are currently in Gemini season. Therefore, this upcoming new moon will be in the sign of Gemini. So you can always know the sign that the new moon is in if you know what sign we're in terms of the time of year. And when you're working with the new moon, it is advantageous to work with archetypal things related to the sign that the moon will be residing in for the new moon, in addition to just working with this cultivating energy of invocation and beginning and setting intentions, of making wishes, of calling things in. It is to your benefit to have those things that you are launching, calling in, be related to the sign that the moon will be in for the new moon. So in this instance, that would be Gemini. So what is Gemini? What does Gemini represent archetypally? Gemini is an air sign. It's the first of the air signs. We're still pretty early in the zodiacal cycle because it began with the first day of spring. So it's an air sign. It's a mutable sign because Gemini is a time period when we are in between, or the seasons are shifting. It's late spring, not quite summer. It will be in just a few weeks. But Gemini is this in-between sign where it's the end of spring and not quite summer. So the mutable signs, all the mutable signs govern that sort of malleable in-between space. Every sign in the zodiac also has a relationship with a planet. So in the case of Gemini, we have Mercury. And Mercury is the fastest moving planet in our solar system. And archetypally, mythologically, the god Mercury or the god Hermes was always on the go. He was always moving. He was always dashing back and forth. Even from an elemental perspective, another word for Mercury is quicksilver. There's this energy, this constant moving energy that you see with Gemini. So Gemini is also related to the trickster. There's a duality to Gemini because it is the twins. And so it's back and forth, doing things twice, having multiple options is Gemini's happy place. Gemini is the social butterfly that's part of that dashing around energy of the god Mercury or the god Hermes. It can sometimes then come off as scattered because Gemini can be very easily distracted because everything is interesting. People who have a lot of Gemini in their chart, you may find you're mid-conversation with them and they change topic or they see something shiny and they are easily drawn to another idea, another topic, another thing that draws their attention, and they change points or conversations or ideas sort of midstream. Very common with Gemini. That scattered energy. The gift of that is that multiplicity, that multitasking energy, that ability to hold multiple things simultaneously is an amazing gift. It can, though, sometimes manifest as scattered or distracted. As a god, Mercury was the god of communication, so Gemini has a lot to do with communication, even in its potential scattered nature, very communicative, very talkative, perhaps is a better way of saying that. There can be a superficiality then, though, to Gemini because it is moving so quickly, it often stays on the surface. It doesn't go deep into ideas. It can just want to be getting as much information as possible. I sometimes think of Gemini as the data gatherer versus Virgo, that is the analysis, right? So there's always wanting information, but it can sometimes stay surface level because it is distracted and pulled in another direction very quickly, and so it doesn't have time or the patience to lean into something with extended periods of time. It can get bored easily and want to see what's next. Gemini also governs short journeys. So with Sagittarius, we give that long journeys, international travel. Gemini governs more sort of commuting. Again, this idea of like gets distracted, gets bored easily, can't do a long road trip, can do short little jaunts and lots of them more easily. So there's this need to be in constant motion that you can see in Gemini. With that idea of like air is in constant motion. Air is very rarely still. And so that idea of air as an element in constant motion we see in Gemini as a sign. So for those of you watching the YouTube video, here's the actual chart for this upcoming new moon on June 14th. So just in a couple days. And here on the East Coast, it'll be almost 11 p.m. on the East Coast, 10:54. So technically, it's not quite 11, but pretty close, 6 minutes shy. And this particular new moon, as I was saying earlier, every sign has 30 degrees. So this moon will take place at 24 degrees and 3 minutes of Gemini. So getting towards the very end of the sign. And In astrology, there's a couple of different people and groups over the years that have explored every degree of the zodiac to come up with phrases or symbols that are associated with every degree. And so when you work with them, you always look at the degree ahead, because everything is almost always a degree and change, right? So in the case of this new moon, we have 24 degrees, 3 minutes. So it's a little bit past 24. So you look at 25 degrees. So the Sabian symbols go back to the 1920s. And the image for this degree is a man trimming palms, so palm trees. So you can sort of sit with that imagery, see how that relates to you or your own life. How does the idea of cutting back palm trees or cutting back those palm leaves, perhaps, as a way of creating new space in a new moon, how does that symbolism connect with you? Another one that you may find helpful is the Chandra symbols. And the Chandra symbols came about in the 80s, a similar idea of meditating and coming up with or channeling and being given phrases for every degree of the zodiac. And so in the case of 25 degrees Gemini, we get a cave in deep ocean water. And so that's a very different imagery, but it's the same degree. So see which one resonates more with you when we move into the meditation, or you may want to work with it later on as you continue to explore this new moon. Now, this new moon is interesting in that it is largely unaspected. So the sun and moon, as you can see if you're watching the video, are right next to each other in the chart, but they're not really aspecting. They're not really in communication, making an angle mathematically to much of anything else in the sky. So it becomes a very focused, which is interesting for Gemini energy, in that it's not interacting with anything else in the sky. It's very focused, new, cultivating Gemini energy that isn't in some ways being distracted by something else, by a different energy or different archetype. So new moons, we all feel them. And if you know your chart, wherever you have something in late Gemini, this is a particularly powerful new moon. And more broadly, if you have anything in the latter decant, the last 10 degrees, if you know your chart, of any of the mutable signs, so Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, this moon, even though it's not an aspect to anything in the sky, would be aspecting your chart. So you may find it to be a more powerful new moon for you personally. Because in astrology, we have both the mundane astrology, which is how things are impacting things collectively and globally, as well as the personal. So it's a blending of those two things. And one of the things you can do in working with a new moon, because it's about setting intention, is making wishes. So this is a particular, you can do this for any new moon, and you, as I was saying earlier, though, you want to make these wishes related to the sign that the new moon is in, because that is what makes it more powerful and more palpable. So Jan Spiller has a whole book on this, on new moon wishes and working with them. This is somewhat taken from her work, not these actual wishes, but the idea of working with the moon in this way. So these are just some examples. You don't have to use these. These are just you're welcome to, or you can use them as a launching thing. Having wishes, though, that are associated with Gemini. So, for example, I want to feel heard by fill in the blank. Is there someone in your life that you feel like is not listening to you? Again, linking it to Gemini. I want to be more comfortable communicating about blank. What are you not saying to someone? This could be personal or professional. I want to be less distracted at. Do you find yourself easily distracted at work, easily distracted when trying to do work on a project? So asking for some support to be less distracted during this new moon. I want to feel more comfortable giving a public talk or speech, if you have something coming up where you're going to be speaking publicly, asking for support from the universe to feel more comfortable doing so. Maybe you want to multitask without distraction. Sometimes multitasking is what is called for. And so how do you both multitask and stay focused? Asking for support with that. Related to that, I want my vulnerability for distraction to be lifted. Right? If you find yourself easily distracted, maybe you've got a lot of Gemini in your chart, asking for help to stay focused. I want to finish blank writing project. If you've been working on some writing, maybe you're working on a book or a blog, or there's some writing or communicating project that you're doing that you keep kicking the can down the road, or you have been stalled in your process, asking for support from the universe, from this new moon, to help you complete that project. I want to write blank number of pages for the writing project, right? Let's say you're working on a writing project, and rather than finish it, you're saying, okay, I'm going to write 5 pages a day. So if there's a certain number of pages that you might want to complete, what would that be? Right, you can fill that in. Again, asking for support. I want to be open or more open to the ideas of others. And again, this idea of communicating, it's a two-way street, wanting to be heard, but also wanting to be more willing to listen. And in general, so you can make up to 10 wishes. You don't want to dilute the energy too much, but it is recommended that at least one of those wishes speaks to the ease with which you want these changes or these shifts to come into your life, because you don't want things to be too disruptive. Just even phrasing it in that way of, I want all change to come with ease and grace, and asking that the shifts that you're asking to come into your life, again, aren't too disruptive. So shifting gears now, we're going to move into the meditation part of this episode. So you want to find somewhere where you're comfortable to sit or lie down. The meditation itself will be 15-20 minutes. So you want to make sure that wherever you are comfortable and able to sit for that amount of time. So if you need back support, by all means, get that. And going into the meditation, we're going to start with some breathing exercises just to get us present and in the moment. And you can pause till you're ready. With your eyes closed, we're going to be inhaling for the count of 4, and we'll pause at the top, and then exhale for the count of 6, and then pause and begin again. And you'll want to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth, and I will do the counting so you can just stay in the experience. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time. Really drinking in the oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale completely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now bringing yourself and your breath back to a normal rhythm, whatever feels calming and appropriate to you. On your next inhale, bring your attention to your base chakra, your root chakra. This is the center at the bottom of the spine. It's an energy center that helps us ground, connect with the earth, Pachamama. Helps us align our body and our spine as we move deeper into the meditation. And on your next inhale, bring your attention to sacral chakra, second chakra. It's a powerful energy center. Feel it coming alive as you bring your intention to it and attention. And on your next inhale, bring your attention to solar plexus chakra. This is the center just above the belly button, between the rib cage and the belly button. Sun center. Deeply powerful and emotional filled, many ways connected with the moon. As you bring your attention there, just notice if there's any blocks there. We'll be clearing some of that today. Don't let it distract you, just take note. And on your next inhale, bring your attention to heart chakra. Right at your heart, it's in the center of the chakra system. It's the midpoint between the lower and the upper chakras. Feel the compassion for yourself and others that resides there. And on your next inhale, bring your attention up again to throat chakra. Just the throat, center of communication, speaking, very much tied with Gemini. Feel it activate as you bring your attention there. Feel it tingle with anticipation. And on your next inhale, bring your attention to third eye. Right in the middle of your forehead, center of vision and clarity. Feel it awaken. Maybe even like a window opening. Feel it coming alive. And on your next inhale, bring your attention to crown chakra, very top of your head. Connection to your own divinity. Your connection with God, Goddess, Universe, Spirit, whatever your language is for the divine. Feel it tingle with awakening. And from that awakening energy and that connection, that tether to Source, imagine in your mind's eye, in your third eye, a cascade of white light raining down upon you, encircling your whole being. Holding you in a cocoon of pure love. Unconditional love and compassion encircles your whole being. You can make this bubble, this cocoon, as big as you want it to, as far out from your being as you want. And now within this bubble of love and compassion, of insight, bring your attention back to your third eye, back to that center of vision and clarity. And continue to bring this golden light that is encircling you, also through you. Bring it down your entire being, having it pass through each chakra center with every inhale. With every exhale, let that white healing light clear away any blockages in those chakra centers. Bringing it back down from the third eye, down through the throat, down to the heart, continuing to inhale and exhale, bringing it down to the solar plexus. Down to the sacral chakra, and then finally down to the root, to the base chakra. So you are both encased in this bubble of love and light, and it is moving through you up and down the chakra system in a continued wave of light and compassion and empathy. Feel it fill your whole being as you bring your attention back up to your third eye. And from there, see yourself standing on a beach. It is night, but there is no moon. She is obscured from view, for it is the new moon phase. But remarkably, in her invisibility, in her absence, the stars seem so much brighter. Her light is not obscuring theirs. standing on this beach, hearing the waves. Notice the canopy of stars above you. The vastness of them. And in that vastness, become aware of how much possibility awaits you. As you repeat the mantra, I am open to the new adventures that lie before me. I am open to the new adventures that lie before me. I am open to the new adventures that lie before me. I am open to the new adventures that lie before me. I'm feeling the energy of newness and possibility. Of new insights, new ideas. See what comes to you. As we stay here a while longer beneath the canopy of stars. What insight does this new moon, this communicative new moon, full of insight and ideas, have to offer you today? And when you feel ready, you can slowly start to come back into the room that you're in. If you want to stay here, by all means, you're welcome to. But slowly start to move, coming back into your body, back into the room, moving fingers and toes. So thank you for joining me. If you want to work with other phases of the moon in addition to the new moon, and I also record an episode for full moons, I do have a moon journal that you can purchase on my website that gives you journal prompts to work with every phase of the moon. And it doesn't have any dates in it, so you can start at any point. It just starts with a new moon and then has 13 cycles of the moon, because that's how many occur in a 12-month period. So, once again, I am Dr. Laura Tad, spiritually oriented psychological astrologer and well-being consultant. And this has been Mythic Sky Story Time and my new moon meditation for June 2026. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Have a fantastic day.